All right, let's dive right into this explainer. If you're on the fence about pulling the trigger on an electric car, you are exactly in the right place. Going EV can absolutely be one of the smartest moves you ever make. But, and this is a big but, only if you actually know what you're getting yourself into. Every single year, these vehicles get more popular, yet we still see so many buyers making honestly incredibly expensive mistakes just because they didn't do the right kind of targeted research. So today, we're going to fix that by covering the 10 things you absolutely must know before you buy. To make sure you avoid those costly slip-ups, we're breaking this buyer's journey down into 5 super logical steps. We'll be assessing your true range, mastering the charging network, understanding the EV technology, calculating your total cost, and finally, finding your perfect match. Okay, let's jump right in. Step 1. Assessing your true range. Let's start with a major reality check to tackle what is probably the absolute biggest psychological barrier for first-time EV buyers, right? Range anxiety.
The real question you should be asking yourself isn't which EV has the absolute biggest battery. It's actually, how far do I really drive on a normal Tuesday? The data here is actually fascinating. Most folks drive less than 30 miles, that's roughly 50 kilometers, a day. Think about that baseline. Even the most affordable electric cars out there right now can easily crush that distance on a single charge. So honestly, you probably don't need to drop thousands of extra dollars on some massive, heavy battery pack unless you are literally taking cross-country road trips every other week. Overbuying range is, hands down, one of the most common ways people totally blow their budgets.
Now you've got to watch out for the difference between advertised range and real-world range. It's kind of like the difference between a perfectly staged real estate photo and walking through the actual house. Manufacturers advertise a maximum range based on perfectly controlled, absolutely ideal lab conditions. But in the messy real world, it's a different story. An advertised 500-kilometer range might realistically give you closer to 400 or maybe 450 kilometers in your day-to-day life. You always want to look up independent, real-world tests before making your final call.
So why the big drop-off? Well, everyday variables actively drain your battery way faster than those pristine tests. I'm talking about running the heater when it's freezing cold out, doing 80 on the highway, blasting the AC in the middle of July, driving up steep hills, or even just carrying a car full of friends. All of that takes extra energy. And in an EV, every ounce of that energy pulls directly from your battery, eating into your overall driving range.
All right, step 2, mastering the charging network. Because understanding your battery size, that's really only half the equation. You've got to know exactly how you're going to fill that battery back up. This is where you absolutely have to know your charging speeds. People get so hyperfixated on range, they completely ignore this part. Okay, so level 1 uses just a standard household outlet, and frankly, it is incredibly slow, like agonizingly slow. Level 2, though, that requires an upgraded home charger, but it's way faster. That is going to be your daily, at-home workhorse. If you can install one of those in your garage, EV ownership becomes ridiculously convenient. And then there's DC fast charging. This is your absolute lifesaver on the road. These commercial stations can zap your battery from 10% to 80% in just 20 to 40 minutes, depending on the car.
But here is a highly practical reality check for you. Before you buy anything, you must verify that reliable charging stations actually exist where you live and along the routes you take most often. Some regions have thousands of public chargers seamlessly built right into the infrastructure, while others, well, they're basically charging deserts. An incredible, top-of-the-line electric car is going to be a massive headache if finding a plug is a constant, stressful scavenger hunt in your neighborhood.
Moving right along to step 3, understanding the EV technology. We've got to shift gears here. Because an EV is far more than just a regular car that traded its gas tank for a battery. It is a completely different beast.
I honestly love this analogy because it hits the nail right on the head. Modern electric cars are essentially smartphones on wheels. Seriously, when you're out there test driving and comparing, you can't just obsess over traditional stuff like horsepower anymore. You really need to evaluate the whole user experience, the touchscreen interface, and the software ecosystem.
And that software is absolutely crucial. Why? Because just like your phone, a lot of modern EVs receive what we call over-the-air or OTA updates. This means the automaker can literally beam software downloads wirelessly directly to your car. They can improve performance, unlock cool new features, or patch annoying little bugs, all while the car is just sitting parked in your driveway asleep. No more wasting a Saturday sitting in a dealership waiting room just for a software patch. Your car can literally get better and smarter long after you've bought it.
But let's not kid ourselves, the hardware matters too, specifically the battery. It is by far the single most expensive component in the entire vehicle. Now, modern EV batteries are absolutely built to last, generally carrying really solid warranties. We're talking something like 8 years or 160,000 kilometers. But as batteries age, they do degrade, and degradation directly eats into your driving range. So, if you're shopping for a used EV, here's your golden rule. Absolutely strictly demand a diagnostic check on that battery's health before you sign anything.
Okay, step 4, calculating your total cost. We need to talk about your wallet. Why is it a huge mistake to just look at the sticker price at the dealership? Let's break it down.
Well, let's kick things off with some amazing news. You can officially say goodbye to a whole list of traditional mechanical headaches. An electric motor just has way fewer moving parts than a combustion engine. And you know what that means? No more paying for oil changes, period. No more swapping out filed spark plugs, no more stressing over a snapped timing belt. Fewer moving parts literally just translates to far fewer mechanical breakdowns.
However, just to keep us totally grounded in reality here, an EV is still a heavy machine rolling down the asphalt. Standard wear and tear is very much a thing. You're still going to have to shell out for fresh tires, brake fluid flushes, and new cabin air filters. So no, maintenance isn't exactly zero, but it is substantially less.
But then there's insurance. And honestly, this is where a lot of first-time buyers get totally caught off guard. Standard car insurance is priced around traditional, predictable repairs. EV insurance, though, it can sometimes be noticeably more expensive. Why is that? Well, fixing a highly complex EV battery or tracking down specialized replacement parts can cost an insurance company an absolute fortune. So do yourself a huge favor. Always compare insurance quotes before you finalize the car purchase. You really don't want a nasty surprise on your monthly premium.
So when you're calculating your total cost of ownership, you really have to zoom out and look at the whole picture. You've got to factor in the purchase price, sure, but also your massive fuel and electricity savings, those lower maintenance costs we just talked about, your insurance premiums, taxes, and the car's eventual resale value. When you map the whole shebang out, the math totally shifts. An EV might hit your wallet a bit harder up front at the dealership, but when you factor in those savings over a few years, it can actually save you a really substantial amount of money. Never just look at the sticker price.
And finally, step 5, finding your perfect match. Let's take all of this data and see how it actually applies to you.
Here's the absolute truth of the matter. There is no single objective perfect electric car out there. There is only the perfect electric car for you. The smartest choice is the one that lines up perfectly with your budget, your unique driving habits, your home charging setup, and your daily commute. Some people legitimately need maximum range. Others, they care way more about having cutting-edge tech, a super luxurious interior, or just finding the best budget-friendly option. Choose the ride that actually fits your lifestyle, instead of just pointing at the one with the biggest battery or the flashiest price tag.
So now that you're armed with the facts, from true real-world range to charging logistics and the real total cost of ownership, you're absolutely ready to make a much smarter decision. The EV landscape is constantly evolving, and honestly, it just gets better every single year. So which electric car would you choose today? We'd love to hear what EV you think fits your life the best, so let us know in the comments. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.